Good morning. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic, coffee with the CEO. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper. With me here today, I am super stoked because I've been trying to get Cathy Barker on the podcast for about a year. But she's here now. It is our super cool CEO and president. President and CEO?
Yeah.
Cathy Barker. Cathy, welcome to Caffeinate Your Career.
Yeah, excited to be here.
I am super stoked. So, Cathy, this is your first time on the podcast. So, why don't you give us your elevator pitch?
Okay. My name's Cathy Barker. I have been with this agency for about 15 years. Actually, July we'll be celebrating 15 years.
Wow.
I started here in 2010, hired as the assistant executive director when we had 55 staff. We had a $3.5 million budget. We were helping about 7,000 unduplicated people a year. And you fast forward to, I think it was around 2018. At the time, I was then the COO and Chief Development Officer, because if you get really good at things, people add responsibilities and sometimes titles to the things that you do. But I formally became the CEO of the agency in 2018.
Cool. And, okay, we are live. I can hear us, and there are people watching live, too. If you have questions for Cathy, go ahead and put them in the chat. I will try to monitor the chat. Cathy, most of your career has been in nonprofit industry. Why did you choose that industry?
So I didn't.
Okay.
The easy answer is I didn't.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people who end up in nonprofit will say that it wasn't necessarily something that they went into. I guess the best way to say is that it kind of found me.
Okay.
In my career, my formal education was I actually got a master's in counseling psychology, and I became a licensed professional counselor.
Oh.
And so I was doing that, had my second child, and realized it wasn't my favorite thing to do.
Okay.
I wanted to help people, and I think that's sort of at the heart of a lot of people who come to work in nonprofit. But it was not satisfying to me. I like to think that I'm a cup half full person. And so when you're a therapist all day, and God bless them, you're listening to a lot of problems, and only about 50% of the people are going to actually get better.
Yeah.
Especially when you specialize in working with chronic mental illness like I did. And so I had to ask myself, am I going to stay in this career? Is this something where am I okay with half of the time people still being sick and still working with that population? And then it ended up being, like 8 individuals a day. And so I like to say that I had kind of a pivotal moment in my career where I thought about, I really want to help people. I really want to make a big difference in things. And can I do that being a therapist? And so, like I said, nonprofits kind of find you. I was working in private practice at the time, and a university needed an internship program and approached my partner in private practice with me about supervising interns.
Oh, okay.
And so we decided we were going to donate Fridays to supervise interns from the university in South Texas. And then the university said, this is so popular and doing so well, we'd like one of you to run it. And so fast forward a year later, we became a nonprofit, and then we sat and looked at each other and said, who's going to go run this now?
How did you end up being the one that ran it?
I think it was just a good time in my life, between family and personally, and what I had going on, and it meant that I might be able to help people in a bigger way and a whole new group of people, interns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I appreciated my intern experience too. So, and I felt like I learned a lot. If you have good mentors, you have a good experience, you're going to go be a good therapist. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And did you ever see that happening? Like as a therapist, training up the next generation?
Tell me what you mean by
it
happening.
Was that something that you just fell into it, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like sort of the opportunity and the educational piece that I needed to kind of fulfill myself personally came together nicely. Now, it wasn't an easy journey, because we basically had to secure funding. Somebody had to run it. I'd never run a nonprofit before.
Yeah.
But I was able to do a little private practice and at the same time start up a family violence intervention program and help some people get grant funding. And then basically it led to when my family decided to move to the Dallas area. It led to another nonprofit opportunity, and then you just kind of grow from there. It was the nonprofits I was in were less than $500,000 budget, and over your career, you start growing and getting more experience in sort of bigger and bigger ones.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to make a shift. I mean, because I went from being an executive director of a very small nonprofit into then development. And so, because it made sense. When you're the director of a small business, agency, nonprofit, you do everything. And I mean, from writing the checks to writing the grants to answering every phone call, it's very different. But it also teaches you to, you get a whole lot of skills and a whole lot of experience, which is great for eventually going into operations or eventually going into development. And so I made a brief turn into development, which is fundraising.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you mostly do here? I know because you're all over the place.
Yeah. And I think every nonprofit CEO's role is a little different based on the structure they have within the organization. Jewish Family Services, it's a larger nonprofit now, but in a lot of ways, it's still a smaller nonprofit from an infrastructure perspective.
Okay.
Since I've been the CEO, we've been working hard to basically build that infrastructure. And when I say that, I mean people on our teams that we need, software, hardware, databases, all of the things that kind of develop the processes and procedures that you need to be an efficient and effective organization. So for years, as the CEO, that was my role, working with different team members and building a team that was going to help us be the bigger nonprofit.
Got it.
Fast forward to today, because we're in a capital campaign, about 50% of my time is spent with donors and with volunteers and people, getting them excited about what we do at the organization. And the rest is basically everything else. But most importantly, at the CEO level, it is what's happening with our finances, and it's our strategic plan and making sure that we have a path forward that we're following and that we're actually following the path.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And are we following the path?
We are.
Okay, let's make sure before
Yeah.
And so you're running around, you're talking to people all day long. Are you just exhausted at the end of your day?
It depends on the time of year and what else is going on. I would say it's not a physical exhaustion, it's more of a mental exhaustion. For years, I didn't really have, as you're a smaller nonprofit, you don't have layers of executive assistants or people scheduling you and doing things like that, and you still tend to wear a lot of hats. And so I think as I've been able to shed some of the hats and or have people to help delegate things and support me in my role, that has worked better. I will say that's only been recently, within the past year. Because one of the most difficult things is everybody wants you everywhere and all at once. And so how can I think through what are the things that I need to be in and what are the things that somebody else can have an opportunity to be in, to learn and grow in their own career? I don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
But I think there's a tendency in our role to want to be everywhere for everybody, all the time. And so how do you balance that?
Well, that goes back to what you said earlier, is you want to make sure that you're being helpful.
Right.
And,
if you're tired, you're not helpful.
Yeah.
So you got to practice self-care. And I'll just be honest, I think any CEO will tell you sometimes they do it better than others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, because the chat's kind of blown up. Good morning, Rhonda. And hi, Sharon. Sharon's also in the chat. And yes, there was, we did freeze for a minute, but everything is working now correctly. Cathy, what do you like best about working here at JFS?
I will say the people And by people, I mean the staff, the people we help, the volunteers, um, being around others, the collaborative nature, of everything that we do, and the mission.
Yeah.
It fits nicely with my own personal values. I always have wanted to be a part of changing the world. And always know what that meant. And I think if you could find a combination between your personal life and your professional life, somebody told me years ago, and I think you'll appreciate this. They said that if you could ever find a way to have your vocation and also be paid, in a real job, boy, you've hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong.
It's so interesting because I often will tell people that my job and what I do, it's not a job.
Yeah.
It's a calling.
Yeah.
Right?
It sounds fake. Sometimes people are like, yeah, whatever. It's a calling. It's a, but it is.
It is. But, also too, this is working here. I'm going to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think for sure it's the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had asked Allison that question when I interviewed, and she said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You had said the same thing, and I was like, okay. But also too, this was you're talking about falling into working in nonprofit. This was really the only strategic career move I have ever made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Everything else in my entire career, I just fell into it. I fell into working in staffing.
Yeah.
And did that for 14 years and fell into working at the for the state.
Yeah.
And then when it was time to go,
yeah.
Where am I going to go? And I knew Mitch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I was connected to Mitch.
Yeah.
And the spot opened up, and I applied and contacted Mitch directly, and I think you're correct. It takes a very specialized individual to work in a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, you have to have a certain mindset, but you don't always know that that's who you are. And I would agree with you. I had in any of my career moves, sometimes it was, like I said, I wanted to be strategic, and I knew I was going to need to get into bigger nonprofits to, one, make more money, and two, make a bigger impact. And so I was going to have to make some moves. I didn't always know, what they would look like, so I was open to it. But I will also say I made some bad moves.
I was going to ask that question. Was there any jobs you took? You're like, oh gosh, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I was very happy in my first job when I got to the Dallas area, and I was in that job for 6 or 7 years. And somebody approached me about making a move, and the draw was you're going to make more money. You're going to be with a bigger nonprofit. And those were sort of the words I was looking to hear, because even though I loved what I was doing, I couldn't figure out, well, how am I going to then get to bigger, meaning over $500,000, over $1 million, because most nonprofits are based on budget size, when you're considered small, medium, large, type of nonprofits. And I would say that move was not a good move for me. And grass is not always greener. I don't recommend, but how would I know until I was actually in it? So I also believe that even though some decisions or changes or things in anything that I do in life may not be ideal, there's a lesson to be learned from it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So sometimes you have to be okay with going along on the ride and just telling yourself, I'm not sure what the lesson is or what is planned for me, in this particular thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to embrace it at this moment.
I love that, especially because you're right. You just can't really ever know. You just kind of have to make the best decision at that time.
Yeah.
And hope that it works out.
Yeah.
Right?
When I took this job, I was doing some contract work. I had a bad job, not so great job, got laid off during believe it or not, during the downturn in the economy in 2008. I think it was 2009. I got laid off from my dream job, basically. And so I was going around doing some contract work when I saw this position, and it actually said a whole lot of things that I didn't have experience doing. And I'll tell you two little, I don't know if I could share this or not, but tricks.
Sure.
That I have used is the whole concept of fake it till you make it. Twice in my career
Okay.
have I gone into an interview knowing I didn't have 100% of what they needed, but I was open to learning it. And so I shared that in the meeting.
Yeah.
So one was to be a person to do diagnostic testing. And I had never done diagnostic testing. I desperately needed a job. I had a master's degree. And so I asked for the interview and I went in there and I said, you know what? I have never done written reports for diagnostic testing, but I promise you, don't pay me a cent until I write one that you feel is worth the money.
Okay.
And they were like, why not? So they hired me and paid me for my very first report. And then the second one was actually this job. When I came here, they wanted somebody who had experience. It was one of 10 things they wanted. I had all the other 9 things, but if that 10th one was the thing that was going to get me, I wanted to make sure I could at least talk about it in the interview, and it was quality assurance. And I was like, I'd never been in corporate America. No nonprofit I knew was really doing quality assurance.
Interesting.
And so in the interview, when I was asked about it, I said, I do not have experience with it, but I will definitely learn it, and you should have confidence that I will. And basically, they're like, why not? I'll try them out.
That's interesting because I tell clients all the time, they know what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
They have your resume in front of them. They understand. It's like so. Focus on the things that are your strengths versus what you don't have, because you never know how big a piece that's going to be in the role.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like you've got 9 things, but you didn't have quality assurance. Like, how important is that to the organization?
And I found out it was very important. So because this was an accredited organization, the CEO was having to do all the accreditation. And so his pain point was, I need someone who's going to be able to take
somebody
this.
to do that for me.
So in this case, it took me 4 interviews to land the job. And that was because trying to figure out, okay, if this person doesn't have 100%, do they have the personality? Can they collaborate? Can they, so.
I'm all for hiring for personality over skill.
Yeah.
Most skills can be taught. That's right.
You can teach it.
Sharon Harris said, JFS does such good work like this show. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Sharon, for watching today. So talking about hiring, Cathy, you've hired many employees.
Yeah.
As a CEO, what do you look for in candidates?
Yeah, and I will tell you that I think it's my secret power.
Okay.
I personally feel like I have a secret strength in when I'm sitting with somebody, I can tell if they're going to be the person or not. And there's a couple of things that I think and it's not, I think, exclusive to nonprofits, but this will sound strange, but it's humble confidence.
Okay.
And the idea behind that is you don't want a braggadocious person, someone who comes in and they're just like, well, I do this, I do this, I do this, and here's all of my stuff, and look how awesome I am.
Mm-hmm.
You want somebody who's going to, both on paper and in person, say, what are their strengths and how am I going to help in this job? Help you, the company, the CEO, or whatever, to succeed in it, but how am I going to do it from a place of humility? And the reason why that's important is because if you don't have both the confidence and the humility, you're not going to be a good team player. You're not going to be able to collaborate. And so it feeds into all of those other things, which are equally important. I will also say that coming prepared to the interview tells a person a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, prepared in, you've done your research, but also prepared in what are the things that this person is going to want to see either in materials that show my work or in the resume. I love it when people, and maybe I'm old school, even if you have emailed me, I have a digital copy of your resume. When you walk in, you look great for an interview. You're poised. You come across as confident, excited to be there, and then you slide across a really nicely printed resume.
Yeah.
It says a lot. It says you took a moment to prepare. I may not even need it. I may have a copy of my own, but those little touches set you apart sometimes from other people.
I was told the difference between being confident and being cocky
right.
is if you're confident, you can actually point to specific data of how you have achieved the thing, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the things, like lately when I'm talking to clients, I'm having them create those core competencies on the resume.
Yeah.
And also, too, what are we able to quantify?
Yes. And I would
Right.
say that nowadays we're all looking for that. Quality measures, data that you've done. Don't just list out things. I've done this. I've done that. I mean, show how you've actually made a difference, but don't be ridiculous. When I see on a resume, I have increased this by 550% or something, just say that can mean you went from $25,000 to $50,000. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, be more specific, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. Just say I've doubled it. Or I've done something, but when you get a little too braggadocious on your resume, it says something too.
I think that's right. I think when we go and quantify things, because I know employers like numbers,
Yeah.
but also, I think you're right. You don't want to be too over the top,
Yeah.
right?
And some people are also removing their volunteer stuff and, other things like to save space on it. I have to say that I like to see, I don't care as much about your grade as that you graduated and you have the degree as I do. This is a person that's not super self-centered. They take the time, they've been invested. But when you also list 500 of them, that's a little too much. So pick like the top 5, the ones that you feel are relevant to this organization.
I think employers like that with the volunteer experience, right? You're giving back to the community. I don't see there's any downside to that.
Or you sat on like a student body something and did, you know what I mean? It just shows leadership. It shows, because somebody had to elect you to do those things.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite type of client to work with. They're the recent grads.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because where could they're writing their resume? It's not like that. Nobody cares that they delivered pizza.
Yeah.
What did they do in school? Like, what things can we point to and bring out to make them, good, solid candidates? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon says she's having mug envy. Y'all notice I got a new mug? You see Nightmare Before Christmas? That's 0. And it'd be a good time to
I didn't know what it was. So.
take a drink. So, Cathy, I originally interviewed with Allison.
Yeah.
And then I came back 2 days later and interviewed with you.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And you were a hard interview.
Yeah.
How
was I a hard interview?
Yep.
How was I a hard interview?
I think part of that was I didn't set up the question very well.
Yeah.
Right? Because and I tell clients this too, because I learned it the hard way interviewing with you.
Yeah, you're welcome, by the way.
Is I didn't set that up because Allison came from staffing and they was in nonprofit and I was in staffing. And so in being in staffing, you just, do all the research.
Yeah.
Right. And that includes looking up your interviewer on LinkedIn. And so I just asked Allison, I was like, hey, you came from staffing and then you switched to nonprofit. How did you do that? And I interviewed with you and I didn't set that up right.
Oh.
Instead of me saying, hey, full disclosure, and in preparing for this interview, I did look you up on LinkedIn and I noticed. Instead, I just said, so your entire career has been a nonprofit. Why did you choose that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
sounds stalky.
I remember you looked at me and you kind of did this what?
Weird.
How did you know that? I'm like, and that's when I realized, oh, I just really screwed this up. Yeah. And I said, oh, I looked you up on LinkedIn, and you kind of had this weird and then you answered the question, and then Marlene came to pick me up and take me to a different room. And we did the, goodbye. And as we're leaving, she said to Marlene, do you remember this?
I said to Marlene?
Yes.
Okay.
You said to Marlene, he looked me up on LinkedIn, and I think that's kind of creepy.
Okay.
And this is how the interview ended.
Okay.
I turned around and I did this. That's not creepy. That's being prepared. And I walked out of the room because in my head I'm like, there is no way I'm going to get hired for this job.
Well, but what do you think was going on in my head?
I think that you thought that was creepy.
No, but you got hired.
I did get hired.
So something else must have been going on.
Obviously you made a good decision.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, look where we are now.
Yes.
Right. But at the time, I'm like, there's no way I'm getting hired.
Well, so can I break that down?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love
So this is, again, sort of a generational thing, too. You have to remember that I was working and started in nonprofits when we didn't have personal computers. I know I'm aging myself. So LinkedIn, and then when people started putting information about themselves out there, I personally was still figuring that out too.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know all of what you could get. I mean, now any employer should know. Basically, you can find anything out there. But I know I was looking at protecting my kids from this internet and, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think everybody understood the power of it. So it could easily come across as stalky.
Sure.
But I think where my secret power is, I will leave a meeting and I tell myself, is this somebody I feel like I could work with from a personality and a teamwork perspective? If you check that box, you'll probably make it to another interview.
Yeah.
So that's more of what I'm looking for is could you work here? Also a culture fit.
Yeah.
Like, is this a person that will add to the culture, or is this somebody whose personality is going to actually take away from the culture? Because we worked hard to build a work culture that is supportive here, that is inclusive, and where people want to come here. If you have all the places in the world to go get a job, you want to find a place that you want to go to every day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you check those boxes.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I was told that I almost didn't get the job for two reasons.
Okay.
One, you thought I was cocky.
That probably did happen.
And two, I was told that my energy level was very high.
Would any of y'all disagree with that?
For the team? I've had a lot. I have a lot
comment
of energy.
in the thing. Yeah, you
do.
You have a lot of energy.
But you know what? That part of where that comes from is like you just said it.
Yeah.
You want to go someplace to work where you're excited to be here.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, none of us have to be here. We can always go work somewhere else. But like, I love the organization. I love the people that work here. I love the mission. I'm like, just like I like my team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
good news is there's lots of organizations out there that want the same things. They want, maybe you won't know that in that first interview, but maybe in your research, you'll figure that out. And you'll actually go and see, like on their website, do they list their values? What's important to them? Or are they just listing all their financials and things like that? So you can easily tell what their values are just by sort of doing a little bit of research.
That's a good, when you do preparation for the interview, to do the research, right? And I was so stoked to get the interview, and I was working at the time, but my job was to get this job.
Yeah.
I put like this much notes into I use the note app on my phone, like for JFS, and then did nothing but practice and practice and practice. Actually, what was funny was I was prepared, and then like what happened was I came to interview, and Allison goes, so let me tell you about JFS. I'm like, oh, you just blew my whole week.
I was going to tell you all about
I was going to tell you. I was waiting for, what do you know about JFS? I'm like, well, let me tell you what I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and get into it. And then like, it just one.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about JFS. I'm like, oh.
That's a common thing. I mean, you don't know what somebody's going to throw at you, so.
Well, that's right. And by the way, that's why we practice and we prepare. And that's probably a good time to do the commercial.
Okay.
So, if y'all don't know, we do have a virtual practice interview program. We call it VIP Squared. We do it every Tuesday at 1 Central. I've got 7 different interviewers on the team. They are all hiring professionals with lots of experience in interviewing people. How it works is you will log in to the Zoom meeting. I will put you and the interviewer into a breakout room. They will interview you for 30 minutes. Then there will be 15 minutes of feedback, and then you're done. You log off. And then at the end of the week, the interviewer will send me a feedback form. You will have something tangible in your hands that you might want to look at and improve on your interview.
Sounds pretty cool.
It is cool.
That's
and
super helpful.
you know what? I have had clients go through the program and come back and tell me, hey, I just had an interview. I got the job offer because Jim Warner helped me out, right? If you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get into that? Mm-hmm. Email me.
Yeah.
My email is Hopper, HOPPER @jfsdallas.org. Put practice interview in the subject line. I'm going to need your resume and also a job title that you want to interview for. Because what's going to happen is I will go to ChatGPT and have it list out interview questions for accountants, let's say, because that's what you do. Because the interviewers are going to ask you industry-specific questions. We want to make this as real as possible for you. So jhopper @jfsdallas.org. I've got 3 spots left for next week. They are going to go quick. Get on it. Email me, and we'll get you on the rotation. So
that's pretty cool.
That's a good segue. Yeah, that's one of the other things that my department does here. And then we're also going to start doing, in July, we're going to start doing in-person networking events again.
Oh, we should. And now that we'll have a bigger training center at the new building, that'll be great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Cathy, we're about at time. Last question of the day is always the fun question for the day. And we're going to make it a would you rather question. Would you rather fight a ninja or fight a pirate?
Definitely, I think a pirate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have a better chance of removing their weapon than you do with a ninja when their whole body is their weapon.
And all the hidden weapons. I agree. I think a pirate has that like anger, but you know, oftentimes too, I've seen.
They may be drunk.
Pirate movies, and they're kind of drunk.
Yeah.
You know. Mm-hmm. So, Cathy, thank you so much for being on Caffeinate Your Career today. Next week, guys, I'm going to have Liz Latson, who is she's a program manager here, and we're going to talk about ghosts of interviews past, because there have been, I'm sure, several bad interviews out there. I've had some. Liz has had some. We're going to tell those stories of our bad interview experience and what we could have done to, remedy that situation. So Liz will be here next week. Come back, and in the meantime, everybody have a great week. This has been Caffeinate Your Career. Bye.
Thank you.